Testing 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3. Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. Honorable speakers, lecturers and students, welcome to BESTalk Series 2022 organized by the Center for Economic Development and Policy, Faculty of Business, Economics and Accountancy, UMS. Today, our event will not conduct in fully formal, but in relaxed session. So, santai lah. So, hello and assalamualaikum to the audience. How are you guys? I hope you guys feeling well and good during this pandemic. So, like always, before we start, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Fadil Zikri bin Ahmad Isas from Program Human Resource Economics, HE11. And the most important thing is I'm not alone. I will be accompanied by the most handsome lecturer, Dr. James Alin. Hi, Dr. James. Are you there? How are you?
Good.
Good, Doctor. Okay, thank you.
Nice to see you, Fadil, and everyone.
Doctor already having breakfast?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. So before we start, I would like to ask Doctor, are you ready, Doctor, before we start? Okay, thank you, Doctor, for the response. Okay, without holding much longer, we can start by introduce who is Dr. James Allen. So in today's session, we will listen to the talk by Dr. James Allen. But always, but allow me to introduce the speakers. So, Dr. James Alin is a senior lecturer for the Human Resource Economic program at the Faculty of Business, Economics and Accountancy, University Malaysia Sabah. He graduated with PhD in Economics and Master of Economics from the Yokohama National University, Japan. Also, Bachelor of Arts with honors from the University of Malaya, UM, and Diploma in Public Administration from the National Institute of Public Administrations, Intan. His areas of expertise include public sectors, economics, and labor economics. Throughout his academic careers, he has conducted various economics and labor research projects. Dr. James has published his academic works in several economics journals, book chapters, and conference proceedings. If the audience have any inquiries, don't hesitate to write the question on the text box or open mic after finish the session. Thank you. So, without further ado, let us invite our speakers, Dr. James Ellins, to give his talk entitled Carbon Trading and Ideas Whose Times Has Come. Please welcome, Doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's nice to see you and everyone here. Okay, let me share my slides first. All right, you can see my slide.
Yes, Doctor.
Great. Okay. Okay, so I will talk about carbon trading. This is topic different from it's not really within labor economics, but somehow related. Oh, hold on. My computer is giving me instruction. Okay, so carbon trading. Okay, trading means buying and selling. Okay, so this is a interesting topic. For example, if you read Malaysia Plan 12 Malaysia Plan, they mention about carbon trading. They say federal government is considering to look into PES, payment for ecological services, and carbon pricing. They want to price the carbon. Okay, and then in the very recent budget 2022, Malaysia intend to achieve carbon neutral by 2050 That is another about 30 years ahead. And federal government is thinking to start a voluntary carbon market. This is what we're talking about. And they say Bursa Malaysia will be looking into it. Bursa Malaysia is that agency that supervising Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange. So they hope that this initiative, this initial initiative, can provide a platform for those people who owns green asset, that is forest, and those people who is in need of buying that carbon. So we will talk that in detail. Okay, what actually is carbon trading? What is the benefit from having our trees standing by not cutting our forests? All right, so carbon dioxide is one of the many greenhouse gases, and greenhouse gases are very polluting. Other greenhouse gases are SO2, sulfur oxide, methane. Methane is the gas inside your cooking tank. Nitrogen oxide, lead, chlorofluorocarbon, ozone, etc., etc. Okay. Carbon dioxide are being emitted together with the other greenhouse gases from fossil fuel combustion. Fossil fuel combustion, it means, for example, when you start your motorbike or car, the engine burn them. Major emitter, that major polluter, the producer of CO2 and the rest of the CHG is, of course, oil and gas. That is a mining sector, followed by electricity generation. So every time you on your electric, you actually the plants, the power plants, the one that supply you the electricity, actually burning fossil fuel, and you are contributing to the carbon dioxide to our air. Transportation, of course, there's a waste, both solid and also liquid effluents. And if we have Sabah, we have a cement industry, Sabah cement industry in Kuala Manggata, KKIP. Yeah. So the idea behind carbon trading is for people who actually produce carbon dioxide and the other GHG, they buy the rights to pollute. Okay, they buy the rights to pollute. And in general, carbon dioxide are stored under soil, particularly under tropical rainforest. Of course, under agricultural land, biomass of the standing trees. You study basic science. So we exhale carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide absorbed by trees through their leaves. The leaves is like our skin. It has a pores at that hole called soma. Soma absorb carbon dioxide. So in that sense, okay, that's why they call forest as a green lung. So while I'm explaining, if you lost, please raise your hand so you are free to ask me, okay? Like Mr. Fadil said, this not need to be too serious, okay? If you don't understand, you can ask me right away, okay? Okay, now let's look at our situation, carbon situation, okay? When I was 1 year old, Malaysia produced 14 million carbon dioxide and other GHG. Long time ago, okay? In 2009, it became increased to almost 200 million metric ton. Do you know how big, how heavy is 200 million metric ton? Okay, next time when you take aeroplane, either Boeing 777 or Airbus 300, the weight of that aeroplane is 300 ton. So that means in 2009, Malaysia produced 200 million of that aeroplane equivalent of weight in terms of GHG. That's a lot, right? Now, how about today in 2022, 2022, yeah? Malaysia emit 262 million metric tons of carbon dioxide and also GHG. In terms of per capita per Malaysian, for people who living in Malaysia, we are 7 metric ton per Malaysian. That's a lot. We are actually dirty population. We are not clean. Now you compare us with Indonesia. Indonesia produce almost a billion, half a billion of carbon dioxide. The highest among ASEAN, okay? The lowest, of course, is Singapore. Okay, Singapore only 56 million. Now you think, yeah, if you think carefully, the GDP of Singapore and GDP of Malaysia is almost near, okay? Malaysia slightly less. Singapore has higher GDP per capita because less people living there, 5 million people. But the carbon dioxide per capita is 9. So Singaporean people lifestyle is not good for environment, very dirty lifestyle, as dirty as Malaysian 7. The cleanest among Asia is Hong Kong and Thai people, and of course Philippines. So Philippine people, in terms of carbon dioxide and GHG, are the cleanest people in Asia. They only have 1.2 because the emission is about 140 million. So that's how it tells you that it's time for us to consider to put a price on carbon that we actually polluting our atmosphere. We are contributing to climate change. Our weather are not really, I mean, it's damaging to our environment or our life, making our life difficult. So because of that, yeah, that's what I say. It's an idea whose time has come. Okay. Now let's focus within Malaysia. Okay, who actually contributing to that 200 million CO2? I already told you just now, right? The first polluter is people who produce electric. Okay, look, this is where the electric power plants located. Okay, Sabah, Malaya, and Sarawak. Okay. First, Sabah has 4 plants that use oil. They burn the oil, hard oil, and this is very, very, very polluting. 4. Sarawak, we don't know. Malaya has 1. Coal, the most polluting of all. Sabah doesn't have a coal fire. Malaya has 5. So that means people who live in Malaya have a very dirty lifestyle. Sarawak second dirty. Overall, in the entire Malaysia, we have 55 clean energy plants out of the total. The rest, gas fire is also polluting, but less than the 2, coal and oil. So Sabah has 2 plants. If you drive down to Kimanis, you will see one, SOGT, and you see the big chimney there burning day and night. You see that? That actually is polluting our air. Biomass is less polluting and most environmentally friendly. We only have one, that is hydro. Sarawak has 3, Sabah has 1, Malaya has 16. So it's just obvious Malaya has more power plants because big population of Malaysia living in Malaya. Sabah got 3.4 million, Sarawak 2.6. So obviously Malaya has more power plant. It also means that Malaya area is contributing to major contributor to the 200 million carbon dioxide and GHG. So it's as clear as that, yeah. Now, next, power plants. Okay, how is this related to carbon trading? Related to power plants? Usually in this scheme, power plants buy carbon dioxide, carbon credit. Okay, just like you buy internet credit, okay, prepaid, okay, you buy credit. So the same power plants, the one that I say clean and dirty, of course, dirty only buy, clean no need to buy. So they buy carbon offset, okay. For example, in Sabah, we have Sabah Electric, and under within Sabah Electric, there is also independent power supplier like Runhill and other company. So they are in total produce about 5.4 million kilowatt per hour. The value of this electricity is about 1.8 billion ringgit. And out of that amount of electricity, 180 megawatt actually is from the dirty fuel. That's from hard oil. So we don't know actually how big that carbon dioxide emission from this fire. Whereas in Malaya and Sarawak, I already said to you, Malaya has the most dirty power plants. Therefore, they're contributing major to carbon dioxide emission. Sarawak second. I will not go in detail. You can read that slide later if you want to. But this idea is simple, okay? That power plant, dirty power plant, the power plants that use dirty fuel, the fossil fuel, should buy carbon credit. Where are they buying from? Who is holding that carbon credit? Okay, I'll talk about it in the short while, okay? Now, the idea when you pollute the air, they're supposed to offset it. They're supposed to replace that one-to-one. Okay. The second polluting sector is mining and quarry. That is oil and gas. For Sabah, is only oil and gas. We don't have other mining. Compared to Malaya, Malaya has other type of mining. They mine bauxite, they mine tin, and etc. etc. And this mining contribute 28% of our GDP, and that's very big. What does it mean? Yeah? The sector that contributing to our GDP obviously is the sector that also contributing major contributor of our carbon emission. So these are the contribution of that mining and quarry in terms of export. These are the value, and it gives to the state every year about 4.7 billion in revenue. So that's a lot, okay? So if we are thinking about to reduce carbon emission, that indirectly saying that we also need to reduce the revenue we're receiving and also income and employment from the GDP contribution. So are we willing to do that? That's a big question to our politician. And you guys, all of you are above 18, you're going to vote in the next election. You should vote the government who actually take initiative to reduce our carbon emission, because carbon emission has social costs. It will come back to us later. It's not good, okay? That's why the whole world is trying to reduce carbon emission and other GHG. So this is just the social cost of carbon emission. That's another topic. You need to invite me in a different time to talk just that. But today I just want to focus on this trading. Okay. Next. So who hold that carbon offset, the carbon credit? Because I just talk about Sabah. Okay, Sabah, we have a tropical rainforest. Tropical rainforest has a flow of carbon. Flow means whenever there's a certain amount of carbon in the air, it will be absorbed by our forest through the process that I mentioned to you, the photosynthesis process. These are the flow, and it change from time to time. Another is the stock of the carbon. This carbon is being stored ever since the tree there. Okay, so we don't know exactly the amount of carbon stored in our forest, stored per hectare, but according to research conducted in Thailand, in Indonesia, on the same similar vegetation, they also have tropical rainforest. They say 1 hectare of tropical rainforest, virgin jungle, can sequester, can sink, can absorb 11 metric ton. Okay, this is a working number. Okay, this is not standard. Okay, we don't know exactly what is our capacity of our forest. The stock, in terms of stock, means store for permanently underground on the trees as a biomass. In case you don't know, we human also are carbon store. So if I'm dead tomorrow, my body burn, my body will evaporate, the water from my body evaporates, and the carbon I will form into carbon. If I'm 52 kilo, I'll become 20 kilo of carbon. So we are living things, so we are made of carbon. So is trees. So per hectare, our rainforest can store about 400 metric ton carbon dioxide. Okay. Now, the idea of selling this carbon stock and carbon sequester, the ability of our forest to absorb carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, came from the guy named Coase. For those of you who study transaction cost economics, Ronald Coase is very familiar. He said, whenever you have externalities, because carbon dioxide is externalities, if you don't contribute to that pollution, you will suffer the consequences too. So it's not fair situation, because that's what we call externalities. Okay, bad things happen to people who also not doing anything bad. Externalities. Okay, so according to Coy's theorem, he say we can do many things to reduce externalities, to reduce harm to everybody. One way is you sell the rights to pollute. Okay, just like if Sabah Electric Board pollute so much of carbon dioxide, they actually can buy carbon dioxide from our forest. Who owns that forest? We talk about that in a short while. Okay, so the amount of pollution allowable. Okay, this is a terms. In the future, in the very near future, our government, both federal and the state, will have to one time will need to decide where is the limit. Okay, I already mentioned to you when I was 1 year old, that much small amount of carbon dioxide today is 260 something million carbon dioxide. It cannot be going up forever. Okay, because we will end up having miserable life, affecting our quality of life. Because of that, government will have one day to decide where is the limit, where is the ceiling. Okay, these are allowable limits. So when you have allowable limits and you know the polluters within your region, geographical region, so you can assign it to them. You sell it to them. How do you sell that? How do you put a price? There's many ways, but the economics way is we auction them among them. Whoever willing to pay, whoever think that their rights to pollute is most expensive, they're the one who are going to pay for. That is not a very difficult idea to grasp. Okay. Next. Okay, under carbon trading regime, we assume there will be incentive to reduce emission below the legal requirement. Okay, one day I say our government will have to set the limit. Also, if the price of that carbon very higher than their production, so they might consider doing something else other than buying the carbon credit. Okay, but where are we now? Okay, we look at federal government. Which stage are we now in this situation, in this carbon and climate change, how we deal with climate change, okay? We don't have yet a target reduction of GHG. We don't have it yet, but slowly but surely, coal fire utility, the one that I mentioned to you, most located in Malaya and also in Sarawak, they're starting to think about to use low nitrogen oxide burner technology. Nitrogen oxide actually emitted together with carbon dioxide. Okay, you cannot split them too. If you emit NOx, you also emit carbon dioxide. Next, they also thinking about to meet the new emission standard. This one not yet set. They've been thinking how to reduce sulfur dioxide. That's why if you go to fill up your car, oil, fuel, refueling at the gas station, you see there's RON, two type of RON, okay, one diesel and the two type of petrol RON, okay. One RON, the one that's expensive, 4 ringgit, less polluting. The one that 2 ringgit is more polluting. So it's polluting more cheaper. So we are actually in the difficult situation. As a consumer, we not willing to pay 4 ringgit, right, per liter. So you end up paying 2 ringgit only. But because you are cheap, you are actually contributing to our global warming and climate change indirectly. But like I say, this is externalities. You don't die. If you buy cheap RON, you don't die right away. You inhale and you're dead like that, drop dead. No. But the entire world is suffering in the long run. Okay. That's why it's externality. Okay. Next, they also thinking to install devices to monitor how much exactly they emit in terms of that 8 green gas houses, greenhouse gases. At the moment, they not really into that, and there is no penalty for them not doing this thing. But this is the future of our electric generation. Okay, so they have to achieve this one first, and then we talk about buying and selling carbon credit. This is a precondition. Okay, federal government actually doing some effort here, but we're still far from doing anything effective. Okay, they're doing something, but it's not really effective. Okay, now I have still a few more slides. Bear with me. The idea of selling and buying carbon credit is simple. Like I say, you identify the polluters and government set the limit. So then the government sell to them. Okay, the polluter that willing to pay the most will get the most quota of how many million metric tons they can pollute in a year. Just simple as that. Okay, very strange way of thinking, but this is most reasonable way to go in the future. Okay, for example, power plant. So if there's a new power plant, so they can go and buy it from the market, or from you buy from the other polluter if that other polluter are not using their quota, or you go and buy from the government. One agency they will set one agency to sell the reserve of that allowable limits or quota. Then they will price it according to their own cost of production. Okay, and new plants, they will not be given a new quota, so they have to buy from the existing quota. Okay, just as simple as that. Yeah. Now, many people ask me about this controversial attempt by state government to kickstart, carbon trading in Sabah. Okay, in October 2021, last year, state government signed a contract called Nature Conservation Agreement. Okay, this remain controversial to this day. You can actually write a thesis about this, both at the bachelor degree and a master or even PhD. These are very interesting things to work on. So this NCA, Nature Conservation Agreement, actually is a carbon trading contract. They say 2 million hectare of forest, 2 million hectare of forest, the one that we have in Sabah, will be bonded for 100 years. Bonded means you're not allowed to do anything. You don't touch that forest, just leave it until 100 years. Why 100 years? Okay, this is a standard period of time in order to recoup your investment. Because when you sell that credit, carbon credit, you need to audit them every 5 years. So 100 years means 20 times auditing. So I will show you where is that forest that they wanted to sell, that 2 million, with that ability to, with the carbon store and also ability to sink the carbon. Okay, so this NCA actually is similar to the idea of carbon bond. This is not new idea. Long ago, Costa Rica government, Costa Rica is in the Central America. They have a large forest like Sabah, but they, like Sabah, they also cutting a lot of timber. So one day, one politician think that this one has to stop. He said there must be a way for us to generate income other than cutting the tree, having a timber industry. So he said, okay, is it possible to sell something without cutting those trees? So they come up with certified tradable offset. Okay, don't worry about these terms. It simply means you don't cut the tree, keep it this, you look after it, and whatever carbon stored there, whatever carbon capacity they absorb every year, you sell it to people who pollute the air. Follow? Easy, right? Okay. At that time, back in 1997, during Kyoto Protocol, is a major meeting of a country try to agree on how much we should put a limit on this pollution, air pollution especially, although not limited to that. They also talk about solid waste pollution, but all are contributing to that CO2 emission. Okay, so that time they were selling $10 bond per metric ton, for metric ton. Okay, so the Norwegian government in the Northern European country bought half of that bond until today. Okay, until today, because remember 100 years, so they're still actually keeping half of the forest in Costa Rica. Norwegian government do not own them, but they own the carbon store and also carbon sink. So if there is a company in Norway or from Norway operating around the world and they're polluting the air, so they are having a license to pollute because of this. So Sabah wanted to do similar thing. And this is the first attempt in Malaysia and the first attempt in Southeast Asia. And this, I think, is very interesting, although it's controversial. It's a very interesting. That's why I say it's an idea whose time has come. So where is that 2 million hectare? Let's see. It's here. Almost there, yeah, almost finished. Yeah. This that 2 million they're talking about coming from, we have forest reserve under forest department, 3.5 million. There are also forests under state government, which is not under Department of Forestry. So almost 1 million hectare, that's 700,000 hectare. And Sabah Park owns some 274,000 hectare. And these all are protected, except certain class. Okay, I will talk about it in a short while. So they only want to bond the 2 million out of 3.5 million. Where is that exactly? Okay, let's look. In terms of vegetation, our forest, the one that standing still, yeah, not disturbed, yeah, undisturbed high forest. This has the highest carbon store and the highest capacity to absorb carbon dioxide. And then followed by hill forest. This about 700,000 hectare. The one with the highest capacity is only 100,000 hectare. Mangrove has also very high carbon store. In fact, one of the highest in the world. We only have 300,000 hectare. We have swamp between the sea and the land, beach and freshwater swamp, 78,000. And some forests which already being logged, they already cut them, but not clear cut, so they still got forest standing there. So that's 3 million, yeah. We already cut 3 million of our forest for timber and for other purposes. And in case you don't know, there's also company planting forest, planting jungle, making a jungle. This is very small, only 200,000 hectare. Now, in terms of protection, okay, how strict is the protection? Totally protected area, class 1, 1.3 million. Commercial, this is a class, okay. Forestry department, they divide our forest, the reserve, into classes, 7 classes. Commercial means this forest actually is put aside to cut, just for cut. So this one has no value for carbon sink and also carbon storage. So we deduct this. Class 3 is problematic. If we bond this class 3 has people living in and around it. This is why these people actually protest about the carbon NCA, the one that I mentioned earlier. The rest, carbon class 4, this one is undisturbed, mangrove, like I said, virgin jungle, of course, and there's also forest just for wildlife. In total, you get that much. Okay, now that 2 million they wanted to bond, okay, minus that for commercial, that commercial plus the other forest, our forest actually give a revenue to us. Okay, the revenue is about 1.6 billion ringgit per year in term import export, and it's giving a lot to the state revenue too. Yeah, the opportunity cost of that revenue from cutting those timber only for class commercial, okay, only class commercial, yeah, that's a lot. Class commercial is bigger than the first class. Okay, so means that we get the area that we are cutting now to get that timber industry is much bigger than the one that we keep. So if we don't cut, let's say we can go back in time, we reverse and we don't cut, we don't want this 1.9 billion revenue in a year. So we need to think about how much actually carbon dioxide that entire area can store and also can sink. Okay, this is how we think. Okay, because the argument of NCA is that if you let the tree standing, the revenue you expect to be bigger than if you don't cut and then you sell the offset from the carbon storage and also carbon sink. Okay, is it true? This is a big question. Okay, this is a big question. NCA is also challenged in the court of law, and this question of is it true that if you let our trees standing, it will give more revenue than if we cut them? This is how the court will decide. The court, I think, will call me as a witness when if come the time to tell the people whether it's true or not. Okay, at this moment, that remain an opportunity cost because we are cutting them. We are not willing to sacrifice the income and also the employment from that. So what remain is, like I say, yeah, if we calculate the tree that we've been cutting, in terms of carbon storage, it now actually store. If we didn't cut, we should have 1.9 billion metric ton of carbon dioxide store. 1.9 billion. If 1 metric ton 1 ringgit, then you already have 1.59 billion ringgit. Remember I say how much is the revenue from cutting? It's about the same. But this is just a ballpark figure, okay? Because we don't know actually how much is our ability to store and also zinc. We expect it to be more than the one that I mentioned, 11,000 and also 400. 11,000 and also 400,000 411 metric ton and also 400 metric ton. So sequester, the tree that we have been cutting, they're supposed to sequester 54 million metric ton per year. Remember I say, what is our carbon emission? Our carbon emission is 266 million carbon. The tree that we are cutting is able to sequester how many times is that? Okay, 5 times you calculate. This is simple arithmetic. Okay, so we let go. This is opportunity cost. Okay, the last but not least, this is my last slide. When we talk about keeping the tree standing, that doesn't mean it's for free. We have to pay for it. Even to have the tree standing, how much we spend to keep, to manage them, to protect them from illegal logging is about 100 million per year. How much revenue we get from cutting one class of the tree? 1.9 billion. So it means that we pay for keeping the entire tree standing by simply cutting one class of forest. That's a lot. Okay, a lot of things to consider when we thinking about whether or not selling the offset is more profitable or not. Okay, so the existing value for keeping the tree standing is, because we have 1.8 million hectare, because you minus that commercial class 2, the storage now, this is what major things to think about is the carbon store of our forest, the one that's not cut, the one class 1 until class 7 minus class 2 is about 20 followed by the other 6 figure. Okay, that's about that. Okay, the sink ability. Okay, the flow. How about the store? The store is less than 1 billion metric ton. Less than 1 billion metric ton. So if we were to sell this store alone, if 1 ringgit 1 metric ton, that's how much revenue we get. That's only about 700 million metric ton times 1, of course, the same. So do you know the answer now? You cut one class of tree, one class of forest, one class, okay, out of 7, you get 1.9 billion revenue. Likewise, you keep the other class standing, the carbon that you can sell as a carbon offset is only this much. Follow, right? So it means, who said if we sell the carbon offset is more profitable than having a timber industry? Okay, unless the polluter willing to pay more than 1 ringgit per metric ton. So I'm not sure about that. So we have no answer yet. Okay, it depends on those polluters. Are they willing to pay or not? And remember, in the beginning, I said federal government said this is a voluntary scheme. Voluntary. They are not yet forced to buy the offset. Although in the future we might be thinking about forcing them to do so. So at this moment, I can conclude that we don't really know. First, we don't really know how much carbon store and carbon sink ability of our forest, the one remaining standing. We don't know that. We only have estimation from other forests in Thailand and Indonesia. We don't have inventory of this, complete inventory. Therefore, it's difficult to talk about how much we can sell and who is going to sell. No need to talk about who is going to buy it. Okay, let's just be realistic. We don't have an inventory, but it can be done. How to do it? There's a technology called LiDAR. LiDAR stands for light and detection ranging. You need to use a small airplane. From the air, you detect the temperature and the light and you can actually rough estimate the carbon store and the carbon sink. But this is not actually good enough. You need to go to the forest, deep in the forest, take some soil sample, take the wood soil samples, and you analyze in the lab, and it costs a lot of money. Okay, a lot of money. So if you think about the cost of calculating that carbon dioxide alone, the one that we store and also the one that we sink every year, we need to consider that. If it's too expensive, means that the price carbon per metric ton will be expensive too, right? That is a cost of production, right? Remember? So if it's too expensive, obviously people will not buy. You don't buy 4 ringgit RON, right? You buy 2 ringgit RON, right? So just that, you know the answer. So I must say, the last but not least point is, people protest about this NCA because they don't know whether this bond, the bond that 100 years will include class 3. This class 3 is established for providing forest area for the native people living nearby to get whatever forest produce, food, water supply, and everything. If they are included, they were not consulted. They say they are not given the free prior informed consent. Therefore, they say they feel worry. Okay, they're not worried about whether we can sell, whether we know the value of carbon, how much we are going to sell in the per metric ton in the future. We're not worried about that. They just worry about bonded means they will restrict things you can do. You cannot take things from those forests anymore. Just that, okay? And that's a very reasonable doubts, very reasonable worry. Yeah. So with that, I think I will conclude. I would like to take some questions.
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for the very insightful and interesting talk. So I would like to open the floor to any question from the audience. And audience are welcome to ask question in the chat box or opening your mic. Please welcome. Before that, Doctor, I would like to ask some question. Can?
Mm.
So the question is carbon trading the answer to the greenhouse problem?
Actually, carbon trading actually is one of the ways. Okay, there's many ways to actually to reduce that level of pollution, which we are doing now. For example, we have tax. If you stay at the hotel, some part of your payment to the hotel actually pay to the federal government as a occupancy tax. That occupancy tax, not exactly carbon tax, but it can be used, maybe have been used by the federal government to finance project that to clean the environment. Okay, and many other tax is only one, but the pricing the carbon actually new to us, just as I said in the beginning. Yeah, this other type. Federal government also try to reduce subsidy on our household use of fuel during Najib time. That notorious Najib take out the subsidy on fuel because of the people angry with me with him. So he said he lost in the election because of that. Because our cost of living become high, because everything must be related to transportation. So you imagine if federal government impose carbon tax on your fuel, now 2 ringgit, right? It's subsidized actually. The cost actually is about 5 ringgit. 3 ringgit is paid by taxpayer money. In case you don't know, because the price of oil, crude oil is high now. And that's another reason why if you read newspaper, very recent, people complain about very high price of ticket going Kuala Lumpur coming to Sabah, right? And part of the reason is because of that increase of fuel price, okay? So you imagine this is because not because of the tax, because of the world price. We people already complain, keep asking politicians to do this and that, as if politicians own the airlines. Politicians don't own airlines. Airlines belong to the shareholders, belong to the private company. Okay, and yet they pressure them, okay, pressure them to cut the price. Okay, I answer your question, Fadil.
Yes, doctor. And also, is it okay to trade carbon credits to internationally?
Yeah, it doesn't matter who buys them, but the point is, are they willing to buy it? And we don't know how much we're supposed to charge them. And okay, about that, yeah. One objection about this carbon trading is, like I said in the beginning, you are giving the rights for people to pollute. Pollution people don't like, right? Both on or moral or on health basis, pollution is bad, right? And here we are, we say, okay, never mind, you continue to pollute. We sell you the rights, the license to pollute. Okay, because Coy's theorem say that is the most realistic way to go about. You can also punish them. Every time certain people pollute the air, you punish. Are you going to punish that? Just now I say about the mining and quarry, the oil and gas. 24% of our GDP, Sabah GDP of 85 billion before pandemic, 24%, from oil and gas. So are we going to sacrifice them? Say, okay, you produce less because we want you to pollute less. How about you continue your business, you offset your emission, you help us to look after the forest. If you pay us the carbon that we keep and the carbon that we sink, every time you emit that carbon, you help us to pay for that tree standing. Okay, which one do you think is best? Okay, this is a compromise. It doesn't matter who is buying them, but some people think that if the buyer is from developed country, of course, obviously from developed country, I already mentioned to you, Norway government bought it from Costa Rica, and it is the developed country, the rich country, actually polluting the most. Okay, United States, of course, the top, China, India. So if we allow them to buy the offset from us, it simply means that we are saying that it's okay to pollute. We let the United States to pollute the air, the earth air, and then it's okay. We just say, okay, we buy you, we sell you the offset. Is it morally right? This is for the voters like you, 18 and above voters in the next election to decide. If you become a candidate, you should form a party, Green Party. The Green Party campaign is to reduce carbon emission, like in Europe. You're going to win because your voters are 18 and young voters. Young voters like to the environment to be clean because it is you going to live here in the next until 2050. Remember, I said 2050 we want to be carbon neutral. You still alive, right? To 2050. I'm already dead by then. So you don't look for votes from us. You vote, you get the vote from your young friends. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, doctor. Maybe last question from the audience, if the audience have any inquiries.
Can I ask a question? This is Dr. Caroline.
Go on.
Yeah, Dr. James, now with since Sabah, we are focusing a lot on tourism and all that, but they say tourism is one of the it almost contributes about 8 to 10% of the carbon emission and all that. So what is your opinion on that? How do we actually encourage tourism, but at the same time try to reduce the carbon emission? Do you think it's feasible? In which way should the government play an important role in that?
Okay. Thank you for the questions. I think that is timely. First of all, the three major polluters, not including tourism, okay? The footprint, carbon footprint of the tourism industry is quite big because there's about, for the past 10 years, 3 million visitors coming to Sabah, 10% of total of arrival to Malaysia, 3 million. So that 3 million involve carbon footprint. Is there a way to reduce? No. Okay. Just like you want to have a timber, and timber give more revenue than selling the carbon offset. Where do we strike the balance? Who among the tourism industry willing to reduce the carbon footprint? Reduce carbon footprint means simply don't take aeroplane, right? Can we go travel without taking aeroplane and driving a car? We know the answer, right? But tourism sector, like I say in the beginning, tourism sector already being taxed indirectly. Hotel is being taxed, so that money can go earmarked to clean up the environment. The industry as a whole also, they have their own self-regulation to try to be environmentally as possible. Like the one that very familiar. They encourage you not to use too much of soap, towel. Don't change towel every shower. That kind of thing. Don't use those shampoo made available to you. Although people think that they already pay for it, they just want to use our. And they say, you're not in the room, don't on your aircon, but well, every time you stay hotel, you go out, right? You let the aircon on. You say, I come back, our room will be very cool. So it's not only the industry faults. I mean, it's also faults of the mindset of the people too. Things like that. So yes, the answer is no. Okay, no, you cannot have it all. Okay, something has to give. Thank you.
Thanks, Doctor.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. We have come to the end of session. Thank you once again to our honorable speakers, Dr. James Alin, lecturers and students. Hope to see you in the next round of the BESTalk series 2022. We will end the session with a photographer session. I would like to invite all audience to open their video cameras to taking photo. Please, welcome. Please open your cameras. Okay. Okay. Oh. Everyone pretty. Are you? Okay. So maybe, is there anyone want to open the camera first? Okay. Maybe I can start now. Okay. Everyone, from count from 3, I will snap the picture lah. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay. Okay, one more. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you to the audience who attend today's, and Assalamualaikum and Salam Sejahtera. And for those who forgot, don't forget to fill the form for attendance to the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. James. Thank you, the
Thank you.
moderator.
Thank you, Dr. James.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. James.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Fadil.
Welcome,
Thank
Doctor.
you, Dr. James. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. James. Thanks, Fadil. Bye-bye.